Don't have much fun. What that would be.
Okay, let's do our figure base exercise.
All right.
On page 40. Are you done?
Dr. Durant, what's your policy on weeping in this class?
I don't allow it. It's,
Tough it out.
let me assure you, you will do fine in the course.
Just getting there. A little bit of suffering.
That's all good. Let's see what else we can find for you. You're okay, right? You know what you're doing?
I think so.
So as you can see, there's a few more pages of this after this.
Just a few.
We haven't even started part writing yet.
Sorry. What's a two? It's an F sharp chord. F sharp, okay, C sharp.
Why don't you start on the next page?
And then a five.
You too, Stephen. You need some help?
Oh, I just wanted to see if the answers were.
And we'll see what happens.
Cause I did some racing and
Diana, did you slash your 6 on your third chord? Let's go back.
Let's see. I've never used slashes in figure threes before.
Well, you have to
So,
now.
on which one?
Is it
The third one,
This one?
yes. That's
Oh yeah, I missed that one.
I don't think that's a
Slash
6-5
6, I thought slash
chord.
five.
I think it's a 6.
No, it's
There's
not.
no
It,
chord
you go
in
to-
it.
so
Oh, yeah,
Is-
these are just triads.
You get E sharp.
Are these correct so far? Yeah.
count the one.
Oh,
The speed.
Count the first one.
Is the third
So,
one
yeah.
diminished 7/6?
It is a diminished
Yeah,
7/6/5
Why 5?
because it's a 7 chord.
that's what are you writing? That's 7, not 2. 7. Right?
So 7 has to be 6/5?
So it is a 7.
If it's a 7 chord, it's either a 7, 6/5, 4/3, or 4/2.
That's right.
So
Okay.
diminished
How's
7.
this?
It's a
Yeah,
slash
right.
6
Slash, okay.
E
because the
is
6
below
is sharp.
Because the 6 is sharp.
The G sharp
E,
is a 6th
G,
above.
The E
This
sharp.
I was thinking.
Okay.
I don't know what you're thinking. Don't do that.
The E sharp
Count
was very
G, A, B, C, D,
confusing.
E, count the.
Well,
when it
it's-
probably should not have been.
It's the leading tone in the minor mode.
Okay, so that's why it's the diminished 7.
Yes.
Okay. With a slash 6. But they
You
raised
just need to
6.
get them together.
Yes. No.
The
Yes.
wise-
Yes. The 6th above the bass is raised, which is the leading tone. We're describing things in terms of their relationship to the bass.
Okay.
As with Hannah's course, she probably just indicated it as first inversion by using 6. right? Like 7/6. That's the name of the chord. I don't teach that way, and I don't want you to either. I want the figured bass to represent the intervals above the bass, and from that, you ascertain that it is first inversion.
Okay.
And that it puts you into a key and it makes you chromatic when you slash things and so just add that to your vocabulary there.
What do you think?
Major
So you
chords.
want all of the intervals
Six
above the
chords.
bass every time
Second version.
specified, or you just
I
want
I knew
the
it was
ones
second
that are
version,
not,
but I didn't know the
that
terminology
define the
for it.
chord?
First inversion 6, second inversion 6/4.
Yes, okay, if you put all the intervals,
Yes.
you're never wrong.
Yeah.
What we do is
You
put
have to do the lines,
what
so
is
that you know it's major.
common practice.
Cause you said it's
And-
minor without putting the lines there.
Gotcha.
There's, like if you have a 6/6, if you have a 6/3 chord, it's usually just 6.
Yeah.
So you do what,
Yeah.
probably
Finish
you
it
do
on the
what
other
you did with your figured bass, just add the chromaticism to it,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay?
I
You
forgot.
don't need to add more,
Mhm.
you just need to add the chromaticism.
Do you write your 5 chords in third inversion 4/2? Do you use like having both numbers? Because like in my course we just specify them as a 5 with a superscript 2. For 5/7.
No.
Do you?
Always 4/2.
Okay.
I'm not
I'll
sure
try to
what,
change that.
what book did you use, and bring it in if you have it. Well, it does seem less expensive.
What do you get?
5, major 5/6, first inversion.
I put 5, 6, 5.
It's not a 7 chord, is it?
Okay, so the 7 chord's gonna be 6, 5. If not, it's just a 6.
Yeah, the 6/5 is the indication of a first inversion.
Now, the thing is, they use them,
Six is just first
Just
inversion.
Then they
first
want
inversion
you to
major, first
write
inversion
them.
major minor triad.
but not when you analyze them.
Usually when I analyze, I analyze
I look at it now.
by just writing them in with their inversion numbers. Like I would write a 1 superscript 6
Right,
but I wouldn't analyze it in a figured bass like we had me writing them. Does that make sense?
yes, I would be consistent,
Okay.
I would do, because this figured bass is fine.
Uh-huh.
They use flats, naturals, and sharps instead of slashes
Right.
and minuses.
Right.
The reason I use slash and minus is that it's always correct,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Because,
So minus makes it flat and slash makes it sharp.
yeah, or basically,
Or
a
lowers
minus
it,
lowers
and a
it,
slash
and a
raises
sharp
it.
raises it.
Yes.
Or a slash
Yeah, yeah.
raises, that's
I know
not
what you mean.
helpful.
Okay.
But this is all
No, 2.
correct, what you've got. I like their figured bass.
Mhm.
I would just apply it to
To
your,
my
your
analyzing.
analysis,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
Actually, this seems like a pretty good book.
It's a few of the terms are a little older, in it because it was written about 30 years ago.
C sharp.
Yeah,
but
maybe
but it's
even
pretty
know
solid
him.
too.
Okay. He goes to progression of principal triads in the 5th chapter. I do inversions before I go to part writing, and then I add inversions to the part writing pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So I still teach basic principles of root position motion, but I do it in a little different order
So you teach your inversions before part writing or after part writing?
before. I teach all of this stuff that
Yeah.
we're doing now
Yeah.
before we part right.
Mhm.
Because I've found that, now for you, it might have been a little different since you played piano since you were a child. Keyboard students generally have had theory, understand triads and scales because they play for contests.
And I had taken a preliminary theory course before that, which taught me like all the triads and inversions and everything.
Like more musicianshipy.
Yeah, so it was a more basic theory course. So I went into that course already having basic
That's a
knowledge
good
of that.
book, I like that.
Will you see if these are correct? Or
I like that.
please?
They're good ones, good. They're good pizza.
There's the flat bread pizza.
This is 464.
Sandwiches and wraps
464,
across
okay.
Old Shell.
Because,
Across Old Shell from
This is
where the
where-
big pile of mulch used to be. Directly across. Mm-hmm. It's actually by itself.
Right, by the pond.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is
The-
5,
close.
6, not 5, 6.
Major 5 first inversion.
and then 6 is
Okay,
the
but
first inversion.
They have the B
Yes.
natural,
Yeah.
which is.
You don't
So
make
I'm not
anything.
sure.
It's a
Second
base
In the
inversion.
base, you
I'm
don't
not
do
sure why
anything
I have
because it's
the
indicated.
sign there. This
It's-
is.
Remember, if you're
You're writing
doing,
what's above the base.
if
That's
you're doing a
what
basso
it's-
continuo
Okay.
and you're writing it, then
So it's not a 6/5 because it's in the base.
Roman numerals in this.
yes, because the basso
Everything
continuo would say
else.
the bass would be down here,
Raised
and if it's an F sharp here, then it's an F
It's just
sharp.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That looks fine, Stephen, you don't need to put the 3s.
Yeah, great wraps and sandwiches and.
Do you remember doing this?
I do. I after I'd gone through this, I erased all the 3s, but then I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's
I'll put 'em
not
back.
wrong, it's just,
It's unnecessary.
it's just more for the graders to acknowledge.
So, when you were talking the first day, you mentioned that the way y'all do theory classes is you already include oral skills within that class. It's not a separate course.
No, we do it as, it's all one grade.
Okay.
But I teach Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Kevin Davis teaches Tuesday, and Thursday. And he does sight singing, dictation, he does all the sight singing tests.
Okay. And was that a 4-hour class or just a
No,
3-hour
we meet
class?
50 minutes a day, so I have 3/5 of it, and he has 2/5 of it.
Okay.
And we do both years together.
Okay.
Not same time, but
Right.
I teach Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and he teaches Tuesday, Thursday.
Okay. That's.
But it is one grade. There are some universities that have 2 separate classes,
Right.
and they call it like a lab class.
Mm-hmm.
It's, anything taught well will work well, you know? But,
Because we had 4 theory classes and 3 oral skills classes. The theories were 3-hour courses and oral skills was a 1-hour course.
I would prefer that my course be 4 credits instead of 3 credits. I think it's more fair, but students just have to pay more money. And the problem being we have too many hours in the degree already. We keep cutting things out. Okie dokie. How are we doing with figured bass?
Slow, but
Plenty to
sort
practice.
of getting it.
Slowly, but
Alright. We're gonna move on to yes, part writing in root position. So this is the most basic voice leading pattern. The first thing is roots, fourth or a fifth apart. Okay, so in the key of C, you use the same guidelines. Okay, I'm going to do part of this in vocal style, part of this in keyboard style. I'm just going to work in both forms. work in the key of C. I often work in the key of C, so it gives kids kind of a template, something that's easy to do. So technically, if I go from C to G, I do the same process as if I go C to F, or C to F, or C to G. So do you understand how roots a fourth and a fifth apart are the same? Okay? So the first thing is we determine the position of the soprano, and this is called the position of the third. But that's not so important. This is a root position, one chord. What would you like to go to? Would you like to go to F or G? That's your choices.
F.
Go to F. Okay, of this is 1, and of 1, this is A. This is keep the common tone and move by step to the next available chord tone. Okay, what is the common tone? C. So we keep the common tone and move by step to the next available chord tone. Dig? All right, let's do this. That was a fourth apart. This is a fifth apart. I'll have the same structure. All right. What's the common tone?
C.
No. We moved on.
Oh, you. The one before. G.
G,
Yeah.
and move by step to the next available chord tone. How is this step different between the fourth and the fifth? One goes up, one goes down.
Down,
Okay, let's do this one more way. Now we are going down a fifth. Keeping the common tone. This time the common tone is C, and the next available chord tone does the exact same thing, doesn't it? If we go down a fourth to the G, have the same structure, it also does the same thing. Okay. That's A. Roots a fourth or a fifth apart. Keep the common tone and move by step to the next available chord tone. Okay, are we ready for, I'm really beginning to hate this marker, and I don't like to be one filled with hate. So we're going to.
Here we go, whiteboard.
Interference.
You might be surprised how often I do make that shot. 'Cause I get a lot of practice.
Pretty good.
I can't stand anything but the blackest black against the whiter board. And even if it's available, I'll never use blue or green or red. Okay, I'm gonna keep this same chord structure, and this is called steps and thirds, okay? I think. This is chapter 6 stuff. Okay, my bad. Did I say second and thirds? That's what I meant. By second and thirds in similar motion. Now this brings up a question. What is motion? Here are the types of motion. There is static motion. There, right here, between these two chords, this is static.
It's just the same as oblique, right?
Oblique is not the same as static. Static's when both notes stay the same. Oblique is when one stays the same.
Oh,
as the other.
okay. I got it.
Alright, so we have static, both notes stay the same. Contrary, when the notes go in opposite direction. That's contrary. Parallel is when they go in the same direction with the same diatonic interval. Similar is when they go in the same direction but a different diatonic interval. And oblique is when one note moves and one note stays the same. All right? So, first one was we went up to F, right? So we don't want to keep any common tones. We want to move in the same direction and want to move by seconds and thirds. So our only option here is that. Okay? You got that? This is rule 1B. Okay, now I'm going to go up a fifth to the G, and there's my step, and that's not going to work.
Because you would have parallels, right?
Well, what I had was not seconds and thirds. Okay, so if I went down to here, that's a second. But then that would be a fourth. And that would be a second, and they would be the same note, right? So that's why the similar motion was in the other direction. It has to be a second or a third. So they have 2/3 of a second. Now, we're going to go down a fifth, and I do believe the answer would be the same. Yes? Down a fourth. Has to be the same. I really like this better than this. Why can't we do that? This is no smoking. We cannot do that. Does anyone know what's wrong with that?
Second one?
We hit it on parallel octave.
It's not a parallel octave unless it's parallel.
I mean, it's a hidden, like, a hidden octave or whatever it's called.
Parallel, no, not
That's
parallel.
right. It's a direct octave. Direct octave. What is a direct octave? When the bass or any voice and another voice goes to a fifth or an octave by a leap in the same direction, but we do it a little differently. We only count between the soprano and the bass, okay? So, if direct octave is, we've ended up on an octave and we've leapt in the same direction. So, we can't do that. How could we still have this same baseline and make this work with number B? We'd have to revoice it, wouldn't we? So then, in famous words of Handel, revoice, revoice. Let's just try this. Now we're in close position, right? We're gonna move by step or leap, by step or third. Step or third. Step or third. Well, it's gonna be this. Ask me this. Is that a direct fifth or not? Is the soprano allowed to move by step?
Yes.
But haven't you created an octave again between the bass and the tenor?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't
So the direct octave doesn't apply there?
Only if it's bass and soprano?
Oh, that's
Yep.
just bass, okay.
Okay.
What we're gonna do is see what Casca Payne says exactly, okay?
Can the tenor and alto voice be on the same line?
But they're not.
Yeah. I mean, the chord before it going to.
That's not technically cross voices. And inner cross voices are not. When is a cross voice a very bad thing?
He goes over the register.
Okay. When is another reason? With the bass.
Right.
When the bass crosses the tenor is the bass. Okay, so
But between tenor and alto, it's,
not so much of a big
Yeah.
deal. In the chorales, you'd see it happen all the time. Okay. I'm gonna read you the explanation. And it's on 77 of the Casca Payne book. And ultimately, you'll probably have to look it up again every year you teach. Okay? Direct or hidden fifth or octave results when the outer parts move in the same direction into a perfect fifth or perfect octave with a leap in the soprano part, and that's it. Did the soprano part leap? Okay. Now, if the soprano part leaps, doesn't matter whether the bass is a step or a leap. It only matters that it's similar. Okay, how could we have cured all of this is by putting the bass in contrary motion, right? Okay, so this is seconds and thirds, all right? Now C, 1C is tertian leap. Wow! Okay, there it is. Tertian leap, and the tertian has 8 moons. No. The tertian leap does not mean a leap of a third, it means the leap of the third. Okay? So, what does that mean? Let's revoice this little doodad here. Oh, okay. In the tertian leap, you keep the common tone and you leap the third of one chord to the third of the other chord. If what is going to leap where in this example?
Say that again. Do you leap the common tone? Sorry, keep the common tone.
Keep the common tone and take the third of the first chord and move it to the third of the second chord. What notes and voices are involved here?
E goes to
Are you
A.
on the E?
E goes to A. Okay, so if E goes to A, C goes to what?
Keep the common tone.
Keep the common tone, C. And where does the G go to? In a basic voice leading pattern.
F.
Yes.
Okay? That's called tertian leap. What is the purpose of the tertian leap?
To avoid parallelism.
Well, we could always say something like that, and so I congratulate you for that. But this is a specific thing. Take a look. I'll give you a hint. This is in close or open position. What is this in? So the tertian leap moves you from close position to open or open position to close position. It doesn't always work either. All right?
Tertian leap can go in either direction, correct? Or does it have to be up?
Possibly. Like if you had this chord, you could leap to that chord. That would be a tertian leap. Yes.
Okay.
To clear up that explanation, yes, it may go in either direction. But the key is the common tone, okay? Whether you're gonna have to leap over the common tone. Like say, for example, oh, come on, give me an example. All right, I'll give you an example. I will. Okay, take a look at this example and can you use the tertian leap in this example? The answer is either yes or no. And if no, why?
No, because it's the first chord is in an open position.
The first chord is in an open position, but
And
But it can go from.
But you
Can go to the
close.
E, can jump down to, can leap to the C, correct?
is, oh wait, let's say we're going to the chord of F, and C is not the third of the F chord. Tertian leap means you leap
It
from
has to
the,
go from the third to a third?
absolutely, that's why it's called tertian leap.
so you will go to C.
So see, the C would go down to an A in the soprano.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a third.
Wait.
The
Okay,
third,
the third.
not a third, the third of the triad moves to the third of the next triad.
Yeah, sorry.
It's not gonna move,
So
if it's a fourth or a fifth apart, it's gonna move a fourth or a fifth.
So it doesn't
We
work.
move
So
C
then
to
this
the A.
falls down to A and G falls to
In
A.
the alto line, you could go from E.
Okay, what's the common tone?
C.
Okay, can that work? Okay, here is what you're saying. Common tone, leap down to A, move down to F. What's wrong with that?
You can't have more than an octave in between.
That's
the
exactly
tenor and the alto.
right. That is illegal voicing. You can't have more than an octave between any two adjacent voices except.
The tenor and the bass.
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay.
Hate vocal
All right, what if we, huh?
style. Hate vocal style.
What if we leaped the other way? Same issue, right? Same issue. So in basic voice leading patterns, your only options other than revoicing the same chord, if you're moving roots a fourth or a fifth apart, keep the common tone and move by step to the next available chord tone. 2, move seconds and thirds in similar motion. Okay, that doesn't mean similar motion with the bass. Similar motion, the upper 3 voices are in similar motion. Moving a second or a third. And then the last is tertian lead, third of first chord moves to third of second chord. I know that's illegible. Keep common tone. There's a song that goes with it. Keep the common tone. It's to the tune of Jesus Paid It All. All right. That's roots fourth, fifth part. Now, the next one is roots a second or a seventh apart. In reality, though, it's going to be a second apart because we're not going to leap the bass a seventh. Okay, a bass line and any individual line must follow some strictish rules. They have ranges, okay, and there are things that are illegal melodically. What is the number one illegal melodic thing?
Augmented seconds.
Okay,
Parallel fifths.
huh?
Parallel fifths.
No, just a melodic thing. Okay, that doesn't involve more than one voice. Any given voice may not do any of the following things. It may not leap, that's L-E-A-P, any dissonant interval. Except occasionally. All right, what we never leap is augmented intervals. Diminished intervals are available to us, actually. No augmented intervals. No sevenths of any kind. You may not leap a seventh of any kind. Although there's an occasional, we want to know the difference between a basic voice leading pattern where you wouldn't do these things and instrumentally elaborated music where it's possible if your name is exactly J.S. Bach that you might could do some of these things. If your name isn't J.S. Bach, you probably shouldn't. Okay, and he doesn't much. Can't get involved in that right now. Okay, no major sixth leaps either. So you may leap any consonant interval. Okay, a second is not a leap. Do we understand that? That's why moving a second is not a dissonant leap. We're not going to have music if we can't leap a second. So we could leap a third, a fourth, a fifth, or a minor sixth, a perfect fourth, not an augmented fourth, a perfect fifth, possibly a diminished fifth, but probably not. So your bass lines, you could move your bass line an octave, you just can't move it a seventh or a major sixth. And this comes from counterpoint. Now, in our basic voice leading patterns, we're not gonna move very much. We're gonna keep the lines as closely to by step as possible. So now we're gonna do the next thing, which is roots a second apart. It's number 2. The upper 3 voices move contrary to the base. And in most situations, where are you going to be moving roots second apart? It's the 4 chord to the 5 chord. Okay, now, these are all root position, basic voice leading pattern guidelines. If things are in the same inversion, you use the same rules, but if they're in different inversions, you got to be a little more flexible. Okay, so if I have this chord here, if I go from F to G, tell me the tenor, alto, soprano in that order.
C goes to B.
G, B, D.
Did you say GBD? Yes. We're going to the next available chord tone in contrary motion to the bass. Okay? Another one we might see is this. Now we're going to do something particular. Oh. This, when we move from 5 to 6, it's called what?
Deception.
Deceptive motion. Yes. Now, because we want it to be the most deceiving possible thing, we're going to resolve this as if it were 5 to 1, but the bass moves 5 to 6. So if I'm resolving this 5 to 1, did it, did it, I've doubled. You can say the third of the chord, but what you really mean is I've doubled tonic. Why did I double tonic? Because I wanted to deceive. I wanted to deceive. So if I'm playing along, okay, here's my chord. That was the wrong chord. Okay? We're expecting, what we get is, so these notes, the leading tone, T and Re, both go to C, don't they? Now this G going to A, well, that's going to be parallel octaves. What we want to think here is G moving in an 8/7 passing tone way to that E. And then it's like resolving 5/7 then. Yeah? Okay? Now, is it allowable to double the root? Where would you be available to double the root. The tenor could go to the root, could not it? It could. Okay? In the key of C major, you may do this. Now think. Can you do it in C minor? Just change all that to C minor and tell me do if you can double the root in C minor. Is that too much to do in your head? Okay. Going to C minor, we're going to have this quality here. All right? B flat, B flat, E flat, A flat, B flat, E flat, A flat. Now, what the question is that acceptable deceptive motion?